Guys, so today I want to play with the handstand press, and I just want to quickly address there are a lot of different ways to press. There is a puppy press, there's a straddle press, pike press. You can do different variations of tuck press, like one leg in, and that's roughly about it. But the most common are straddle, puppy, and probably like a tuck press. So I want to kind of start off with some practice drills to get the press. And I know that a lot of students come to me saying they want to be able to press. And I think truthfully too, another thing is focus on flexibility. That means lengthening the back of the legs. I'm really working on compression. And compression is kind of the magic word for the press. And that word is thrown around a lot. Compression is essentially getting the chest and the thighs to come as close together as you can, leaning forward. The other thing is with the press, that shoulder, they start to shift at an angle. And if you become afraid of leaning the shoulders forward, kind of angling forward, that can be an issue. So you want to start really getting comfortable with that. Basically, that's pushing out shoulders to ears and letting the shoulders kind of angle forward. All right, so let's get started with my top. I'm going to start with my favorite drills to work on the press, and then we'll run through the different. Drill number one for the press. Take a block behind the feet, stretch, open the chest, keep reaching. Try not to just round and drop the head. You want to continue to reach the chest forward. All right, pause. All right, so drill number two. We're going to start from a fold in. So shift in and allow the head to fold. Bring the forehead to the chins, and then walk the fingers back. Start to lift up onto the toes. Shift back, rock the weight to the heels. Shift forward, hollow out. Rock the weight. Scoop forward. Scoot back. All right. Drill number three, we're going to take, all right, so drill number three, we're going to start from a downward facing dog. Shift. Open the shoulders. Now I'm going to shift, scoop out, tap my toe to the wrist, and shift back. Other side, scoop, hollow tap. Shift, tap. All right, folding in again. Coming up. All right, next drill, grab a block. Take the block, step on the block, fold in, and just work. Get the balls of the feet on the block, heels slightly off. Plant the palms in front, as close to the block as you can, and fold. And then start to shift, lift the toes off, the heels. Maybe stretch the back of the legs off the back. Shift the weight, scoop. Heels back. Rock forward. And rock back.
Now stay here, next drill, toe taps, toe to wrist. Second side, toe to wrist, it's high up on the wrist. Shift. Shift, try to keep the palms down. Shift. Shift. Shoulders to ears. And rest. All right.
Next drill.
Bring the hand, fold in. We're gonna do little walks across the mat. Lean, lift the heels, and step the feet forward. Plant the palms, shoulders to ears, lift the heels. Try to pick the feet up, pull the thighs to the chest. Step. Lean, lift, hollow, step. Plant the palms, lean, lift, step. All right?
And then the next, step is we're gonna pick up and try to step them even further forward, all right? So similar, just trying to come a little bit higher up, step forward. So plant the palms, scoop, hollow, and step even further forward. Try a couple of these. Lift. All right. And then the next step is we're going to try to toe tap, hold, and try to count for as many seconds as you can. Start with 1, go up to 2, up to 5. All right. So plant the palms, scoop, and down. All right, again. Get ready, lean forward, bring the toes to the wrists. You can do one at a time if you like. Right then left, lean, and down. You can do it the same time or right and left. So you're trying to get the toes as high on the wrist as you can. Okay? Now we're gonna hold as long as we can. So we're gonna try to actually stretch the wrist first. Stretch them out. Okay, now we're gonna try to lift and hover. And our goal is about 5 seconds, okay? Scoop, shoulders forward, shoulders to ears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And land, grab the elbows, stretch. Let's do one more. All right. Lean forward, scoop, shoulders to ears. Oops, I didn't get it. Sorry. Next one. Lean. All right. So those holds are intense. And honestly, even if you get 1 second, it's great. But try to build up to 5 if you can, or 10 if you can. It's a lot of work. So then the next step is we're going to try to shift the toes to the wrist, and then we're going to sort of let the legs come out to the side a little bit. All right? So here we go. Using the inner thighs. So I'm shifting. Do you see how I kind of use my inner thighs to open? All right. All right. So that helps helps initiate the inner thighs after you get the toes to the wrist, because you're going to start working that straddle up. And again, like we said, there's several different ways to press, so straddle is not the only one, okay? So now I'm going to finish off with the straddle, then I'm going to talk about some of the other different ways to press. And again, I learned a puppy press before I learned to straddle, so in a way I'm jumping the gun. So let's jump to puppy, and then we'll go back to finish the straddle, okay? So I'm gonna do puppy kind of facing the camera. I'm gonna step on the block. I think blocks are kind of helpful for the puppy press. All right, I'm gonna pick one side you feel that you can get the hip to go up higher. All right, hands in front. You can start to lean forward. You're gonna bring one hip up. So the idea is you wanna bring it out to the side. All right, hip a little bit high. Try not to bring the hip overhead or the leg overhead. You're really bringing it out to the side, and then you're lifting onto the toes, the shoulders come to the ears. The other leg starts to shift off the block, and then you find that straddle. And then you'll squeeze up. Shifting back to the straddle. If you want to return the same way you came up, and going back to the block. All right? So I'll try to show that from a different angle. The idea here, for the puppy, you really have to lean forward. And the hip kind of turkey wings out to the side. You are using the inner thighs, okay? So I'm gonna show it to you from the side. I'm gonna do it using the block. Again, you don't have to use a block. I think it's a nice way to help get that lift. Hands in front. Step on the block. All right. Scoop out the belly, shoulders to ears. Start to lean into the fingertips. And then the leg lifts, all right? Not up here, okay? Again, the leg comes out to the side. All right, shoulders to ears. Basically like that. You can do bent knee. If you prefer straight leg, you can, but let's go with bent knee for this one. I'm gonna shift my shoulders to the ears and bring the other leg out to the side. This leg matches. And then you squeeze up. Go back to the straddle, coming back down the same way. And then you bring the foot down to that block. All right? And honestly, the puppy press, I've noticed with some friends, it kind of confuses people. There's a tendency to want to lift the leg overhead. And again, there's really nothing wrong necessarily with that. If that's how you prefer to get up, this is sort of how I've trained. Puppy is pulling it kind of out to the side and over the hip over. All right, so we've done puppy. So now let's talk about the, I would say the pike press is the most challenging. And I think I'm gonna do that for a whole different class or video. So, because the pike press is the hardest. So let's work on a little bit on the tuck up. And most people will end up doing one leg at a time. I'll go ahead and use the block just for the practice. Hands will come down. All right, and then step on that block. And the hands will be maybe just a little further forward than you would with the puppy out to the side. Now I'm gonna pull one knee in. And the whole concept here is you wanna shrug the shoulders to the ears as much as you can. And this other leg, the one on the ground, it compresses. You're basically pulling the thighs to the chest and leaning forward. All right, so you're shifting the weight. And then the other one comes in. And then you'll take the legs up, squeeze. Oops, I just ate it. Okay, so let's do that again. So let's talk about that tuck press. most people end up doing it with one leg at a time. I've seen it done with both, but I think one leg is probably easier. So
again, stepping on that block to give assistance. Hands just directly in front, spread the fingers. Remember, the knuckles stay rooted. All right, now tuck that knee into the chest. Now the idea is everything's compression. You're leaning, you're pulling the knee into the chest. So you're gonna shift the weight, and then you'll pull that other knee in. Maybe from there you'll go up to the handstand squeeze. You can come back into the tuck. And if you want, you can start working your leg back to the block. All right, and shifting down.
Okay, and again, I know that I make it look relatively easy. All this takes lots and lots of practice. Sometimes weeks, months, years. It just really depends on how much time you put into it, okay? So again, that's the tuck. Again, my favorite really is the straddle, and I'll tell you why. I think it looks the prettiest. I think the tuck looks okay. I think when you have a straddle press, a really pretty straddle is really beautiful. So I'm gonna show you the last thing, taking it to a wall. You'll need a bolster for this, and it's a great way to, the only tricky part is you can't shift the gaze forward, but it will help you a little bit with the compression. So grab a block and a wall. I'm sorry, a bolster. Oh. Well, I don't have a bolster today. I can't find mine, so we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna show you without the bolster. All right, so grab a bolster for this other one. This is something for people that really are struggling with grasping the concept of leaning forward and really getting the shoulders to lean forward. The only thing that I don't love about the one with the bolster is you don't look forward, you have to drop the gaze. So this one really just helps give you that concept of the lean in, okay? So let's take the bolster to the wall. All right, so we're taking the bolster to the wall. All right, so I'm leaning forward. And then I'm placing the upper part of my back on that bolster. All right, scooping out the belly. And the hands will be very angled. So it's intense on the wrists, but this one just at least gives you that feeling in the upper back and the shoulders. So you're gonna push all the way up, and it really helps engage the muscles in the back. All right, so you shift back, squeeze the butt, and try to slow it down. Keep the butt back. Push the back of the head into the bolster. All right. You can straddle a little bit.
shift up. I think it's a lot easier with a straddle. It's intense on the wrists. I'm gonna do it with a straddle. I'm gonna start to lower. Maybe tap the toes to the wrist and shift up. This kind of helps you learn that straddle. Point the toes, straddle, tap the toes to the wrists, and shift back up. And then down. All right, so this helps a lot. It's painful in the wrist, so again, do this one minimally. It's great for core work. I would do a little bit of a straddle. It helps you work the straddle, getting the inner thighs to lift, and it really helps with the lean in the shoulders. But again, don't spend too much time on this, but it really does help figuring out that lean, and you can work on the strap. All right, so let's go back. All right, guys, so we're almost done. And again, next we're gonna start working on the press. The straddle, so hi guys, so I'm gonna finish off with the straddle press. And I like I said, I do think it's the prettiest one. I think the tuck looks okay, but I think long straight legs just look beautiful. So let's work on that a little bit. So instead of, let's talk about the puppy again. Now, instead of the bend knee, why don't we take it straight? And then we're gonna lift the other one and then bring it up. Then we're gonna ease into the straddle without the puppy, all right? So this time we're gonna take the block away. All right, I'm gonna show you from a couple angles from here. Now, remember the puppy, leg out to the side. We pull the knee up to the side. Now this time, let's straighten the leg, all right? So the foot of the ground is important. You wanna roll up to the toes, all right? Lift that leg out to the side, point the toe, and almost like this leg is dragging you that way. You wanna think about that toe pulling you over there, all right? Ready? Shift, use that toe, out to the side, lift onto the toe of the right foot, lean forward, other leg shifts up. Scoop up, squeeze, and then back to the straddle. At this point, you may as well come down. All right, I hope that helped. Now I'm gonna show it to you from the side. Remember, the straight leg that's lifted, think about using that toe almost like a guide. So this toe comes out to the side, point it and pull with that toe, okay? Like someone's got a string and they're pulling it, okay? And don't forget the leg on the ground. So you wanna lift onto the toe on the leg on the ground. This leg comes out to the side, shoulders to ears. Don't bend the elbows, lean. Other leg comes up. Scoop and squeeze. Back down. And this time you may as well bring them both down. All right, so a couple more things. Lastly, let's talk about going to your handstand and then reversing the press. This is another way that I think is important in learning how to press or how to straddle. Go into your handstand and just lower the straddle as slow as you can. I call it working the negative. So important, okay? So go ahead and you'll jump up. You'll lean forward, shift the shoulders to the ears. Oh wait, I take that back. We're not pressing yet. We're jumping first, and then we're gonna do the negative. Let's try that. So, we're gonna jump up into a straddle. Find your line. Go back to the straddle. Now you want to send the butt back as the toes and legs come down. Take it as far as you can go. Shift the shoulders forward. And then practice that pull all the way up. Again, straddle, point the toes, lock out the knees, shoulders to ears. Shifting the toes towards the floor. And then slowly open the hips. Scoop it back up. And then last one, shift. And down.
Again, this stuff takes tons of practice. It's a lot of fun when you start feeling it. Working the negative, so good, so important. And eventually you can get the toe all the way to the ground and then hollow out and shift right back up. All right, so let's just finish off. Last thing with one final straddle press. And again, make sure the wrists are warmed up, shoulders to ears, you're leaning forward. All right. Spreading those fingers, don't bend the elbows. Rise up to the tippy toes. Lean. And then come to your straddle. Bring it up. Straddle. And then scoop. And land. All right. Have fun with all of these and just don't take it too seriously. Remember, it all comes the more you practice.